really interesting question because you make your full-time living doing this, right?
I do, yeah, maybe 2/3 of it, and then a third of it I'm teaching part-time at the
Okay.
college. Yeah.
So, how long in the process? Because this is, I mean, even just personally, as with the podcast, it's been something I've struggled with. But like,
Yeah, for sure.
what do you do to sort of like lay your days out and lay your path out so that you know you're not just laying around and lounging and wasting your time on the couch?
Well, I
reading
need to
another...
say I do a lot of kind of floating around, loafing about, and trying to get to work. But then I don't know. I do a lot of work too. I'm really unstructured,
Yeah.
and I'm always wanting to be more structured. And I get, so I'll go.
That was actually my next question. I was gonna, because if you do the unstructured thing,
Yeah.
have you gotten to a point where you're just okay with being unstructured, or you still fight it the entire time?
I think somehow I got way too much of a guilt complex.
It sucks, eh?
It does suck. It does suck because I think we're just fucking like beating ourselves up all the time.
You spend all the time that you have not like, and I've now I'm talking a little personally, but like, all the time when you're absorbed into your work, you're so absorbed into the work, there's nothing else that can ever come. And then the second that you put it away and you have some time to think about other stuff, all you do is spend your time thinking about how lazy you are not doing all the fucking work you're not doing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's nice. It's nice to be with other artists and realize you go through a lot of the same stuff.
Right.
But there is some people are more kind of 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
I like having a lot of freedom in my day. I like the fact that maybe I did float off and not too much, and then I could be up super late working. Like I'm probably the most irregular sleeper because I mean a lot of people may consistently go to bed really late, but I may go to bed at 6, right after dinner sometimes, and just read.
Yeah.
And then so I'm all over the place a little bit, but I like that kind of trying to float and just let meaning come into things.
It's a whole different mindset, I think, especially in the society that we come up.
Yeah.
It's really it's so funny that you brought it up because it's been something I've been absorbed with for the last 3 or 4 months is just that entire mentality.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
just when you're sitting there and like I'll wake up because I'm kind of the same way. George and I were talking about this on the way up here. I like not knowing. Like today, I might wake up at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
But tomorrow I might be up at 3 a.m. And then I
right,
might be up at 3 a.m. and be up until 5 o'clock the next afternoon or something and then sleep for 12 hours. You know what I mean? But I like that. I like having my life. And I mean, I've got a wife and kids and all that other stupid shit that you got. I've got 2 girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've got 2 girls and my wife. And my daughter's a 15-year-old and 11-year-old. So you got all the.
I've got an 11-year-old.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
So all of that life stuff to deal with and kind of. But then at the same time, just kind of being able to go, I don't have a 9 to 5. And like when my daughter, because I used to drive a truck. I drove a truck up until a year ago. And when I quit truck driving, it wasn't like I came into the house and was like, well, all right, family, I'm now no longer a truck driver. We just kind of like, I came home one day and was like, well, we're going to do this and whatever. And we just kind of, and then one day about 2 months in, my oldest daughter looked at me and went, what do you do? And I looked at her and I went, I fuck around professionally for a living. And it was the best feeling ever.
To have that play, that ability to play and not be like, are we meant to be? Like, I understand good quality comes out of putting in the work, but I think some of the time we can just be making widget after widget without raising our level. But I think some of the time to let kind of floating with life and the philosophy and thought and being a dreamer and wider experience. I don't know, I find that really useful, like it's a fertilizer too. So shouldn't feel so guilty so much of the time. And it sounds like, you do the hard work too. I mean, go in real modes of work where you're pushing through a lot. But I don't know, there's something about, I don't think our society's set up for us to be living in a way for great happiness or for us to, our society isn't set up obviously in a way for us to all manifest our dreams.
Well, and that's the thing. It's we live under a system, and systems are built for like a general.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
exactly.
Not for specific.
Yeah.
And but it's funny because one of the other thoughts I've had about this is that I think for the general public, if you handed them a life of the kind of life that we're talking about, we want.
Yeah.
If you handed them that life, they'd fall off a fucking cliff.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. Like I can relate to that too. I remember I had a job and I was working at a wine store and I actually loved it. It didn't pay enough and I couldn't keep doing it. But what I loved about it is when I had to go to work, I'm like, oh, now I don't have this feeling of I have to do my stuff. I mean, I love what I do and I love it, but there's this strange kind of fear thing you're always battling. And I think so many artists, their whole sense of self-worth gets wrapped up in what they do. Yeah. You know, a friend reminds me of this some of the time too. And she just, I really believe that kind of quality, so much of her self-worth is wrapped up in doing it. So to start, you expect something good to come out of it. You expect, you know, so it's hard to get to that level of just play, you know, but some of the time the best thing is just to play and not care. I'll mix paint that I like and just throw it around. But it's sometimes hard to get back to that.
Well, it's funny because the only reason even some of this stuff kind of popped up into my consciousness is because like from time to time I'll take on a side job or whatever where I've got to do something. Yeah. And I started noticing like after 3 or 4 times, I'd come home at the end of the day of doing a side job and be like, I'm not exhausted, but I'm okay with not working on anything else today because I have done my job for the day.
Doesn't it feel like it gives you a break?
Yeah, and then I started looking at it going, but today's the day that I need to work harder than every other day because I wasted most of my time doing this stupid thing that I really don't care about, but because it came with a paycheck, now suddenly it's okay to let everything else go. It's a weird, just sort of switch. So you've experienced all of that same shit too.
I experienced that a lot, and it's hard to get to an answer with it because I love what I do and I love doing it, but there's all of these little paradoxes too. Right. So I think it's just a big philosophical mindfuck that we're wrapped up in, and the system, we live in an unhealthy system overall if you think of how, you know, things could be and if everybody was encouraged to, but we make the best we can do with it. So I don't know, like it can be really hard, of course. We all know being an artist, and I like what you say. There's that side, like a lot of people. Yeah, how do you deal with it? So maybe it's easier to have a more structured life to fit into. So it sounds like we can both relate to that too. But I know if doing it all over again, it's hard, but I'd still do the same.